Anyway, my name is Jeff Carpenter, everyone. Thank you for stopping by the Pixel Connection booth. We are at 219. So if you're walking around, come see me. We're going to be doing a 10 looks in 10 minutes. It might not take exactly 10 minutes, but in theory, it's something that if you're at home alone and you want to practice or something like that, you can do these looks and then take them on location. You can get a bunch of different looks for your clients in a relatively short amount of time. So we've got Dwayne here. I literally pulled him out of the crowd. I was like, you're dressed too nice not to model for me. So here he is, and he's never going to dress this nice again. So, all right, so the first look we got, we just have a Profoto B1X here, and I've just got it a little bit off-centered, and I've got Dwayne a little bit off the background. What is going to happen is this V-flat here is going to be the background, and it's also going to be a little bit of fill on the right side of his face. So we're going to go ahead and take one shot. Where is this? I want to go up a bit. We'll try this. All right. Does anybody want to start a timer to see how much? No, don't do that, because then I'll get nervous and it'll take too long. So, all right. So we'll do first look here, and we'll see what that looks like coming in. I think that's pretty good. I can probably come down a half a stop or so. All right. So right now we are at one look. So what's happening is basically the light's hitting here, illuminating the background a little bit, so it's kind of a grayish background, and then the light's bouncing off this white part of the V-flat and bouncing off and illuminating a little bit of the right side of his face. So we're going to go ahead and switch this around now, and I'm going to create a black background. Actually, you know what? Let's not do that first. You can stay in there. I need to make up my mind here. I'm going to turn this light off. I'm going to turn this B10 Plus on. So that's a relatively large light source when it's that close, because we want to deal with something called perceived size or relative size. If you've heard that term, basically all that means is, let's take the sun for example, right? So that's like the biggest light source in the galaxy, right? But it's like 93 million miles away, so it seems small to us. So when you're out in direct sun, you have really harsh shadows, really harsh light, but technically it's a big light source. This, if I move it way across the room, that's going to be a small light source. The closer I move it to his perspective, it becomes a larger light source. So we're going to just move this out of the way for a second. And right now I'm just going to be using this bare head strobe. And I'm going to find my camera. All right, so this one needs to turn off. All right, so basically what's going to happen is I'm going to create a really harsh kind of look, which just completely changes the look of the image. Come this way, just a tiny bit forward, right there, perfect. And take one step closer to the background there. So what's going to happen is it's going to become you're going to have a really harsh shadow. And I'm going to bring this over a little bit more, because I want that shadow to separate from. So the further I move the light this way, the further the shadow is going to move that way. And I'm going to turn the power up just a tiny bit. Alrighty. Alright, there we go. That's two looks. Next thing we're going to do, I'm actually just going to keep using this bare bulb head. I'm going to have you stand like right here for me. So how many of you guys are familiar with the inverse square law? All right, so basically it's just dealing with light fall off. The closer the light is to the subject, the quicker it's going to fall off. So if I bring this light really close, I have to turn the power down to compensate for the fact that it's not 7 feet away now. Now it's like 2 feet. So by doing that, the light's not going to hit the background. So I need to turn this power down. I can put it down in the same spot every time, and I can't remember where it is. So as I brought that closer, it darkens the background. And I can take that and turn it into, if I have enough space, I can turn this into a black background, even though it's white. But because we don't have a ton of space, I'm just going to flip this V-flat around and use the black side. All right. All right, so what we had before was a white on white. It was bouncing. What now is going to happen is it's going to hit this. The black absorbs the light, so it's actually going to create more contrast. So I'm going to bring this, whatever it's called, softbox, back in. I'm going to turn this light off. So by having this, I'm going to put this in relatively the same spot, but it's going to come this way just a little bit. Right there, perfect. So now we've got a really, really dramatic image with a black background. Or it's black, it's a dark gray right now. Again, if I move this further, Dwayne just comes forward for me. One more step. And then a little that way. Right there, perfect. Okay, maybe that way a little bit, right there. Thank you. Everybody give it up for Dwayne. Like, he's doing a great job. He was there, he was the first one here, and I was like, big mistake dressing so well. So, all right. So now we've darkened that background, just, again, because we moved him away from the background. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to have you step over here. You're probably wondering why I have this giant umbrella over here. And that's because we're just going to turn this and create a white background. This works really well with the softbox as well. It's just, I had an umbrella with me. So I'm going to turn this light up. I just want to look at the background light right now. And I'm just going to get the exposure for that. And then once that's where I want it to be, I'm going to bring in this softbox again. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that. So now I can, in theory, if I put this in the same spot, the power should be the same. So I'll move this right back here. And bring it around the front a little bit. Alrighty. So now we've got a high key white background headshot. All I did was flip him around and put him in front of the umbrella there. All right. Take one step out. I'm going to place something behind you real quick. All right. So I'm going to take this V-flat I was using again, and I'm going to actually put it right here in front of this umbrella. And what this is going to do, it's going to create another black background, but we're going to have rim lights around the side. So basically the light's going to wrap around this. And the trick with this is you want it to be as close to the background as possible, or else it won't wrap around. So if you look at it from this perspective, let me take a behind the scenes shot. Go ahead and get right there. So if I look at it from that perspective, I'm going to have to turn the power up to really, really get the wraparound, because I blocked, 80% of the light. I gotta increase the power now. But you can see, basically, we've got two strip boxes and a hair light just by putting this V-flat in front. So I'm just gonna crank this light. You gonna hold that for me? Thank you. You know what? I'm just gonna turn it all the way up. Why not? All right. Alrighty. I'm going to bring this around. I'm going to kind of feather this light off to the side because I really don't want this light to illuminate the background at all. So I'm going to feather it kind of away and across his face. Alrighty. That's good. Let's do one just completely straight on to me. All right, so now we've got rim light. I'm going to lower this a little bit. If I can go down at all. All right, I think that'll be good. So the reason I did that, I don't like the highlight on top of his head, so I lowered that. So we basically we took away the hair light. All right. Do the same thing for me, just like match your cufflinks, kind of. That's perfect. Yeah, just like that. other hand actually so I don't see the watch. Yeah, that's perfect. That's good. So I like that a lot better. All right, now let's add some color, shall we? I'm gonna step up for 1 second for me. So I'm just gonna go old school here, and I'm just going to take our piece of rubber band. They make gels for these, but I don't know how to use them, so I'm just gonna take a rubber band, open this guy up, and just like that, we've got a gel cover. All right, so this is gonna create a red rim line now. Same thing, I'm gonna go ahead and bring this back in. I just moved it so I can access the gel or the light a little bit easier. And, all right, we're gonna have you step back in there, Dwayne. And before I know, I wanna change the look up even more. So I'm gonna actually turn this guy off. And here's the other light. And take one step towards me. That's good. So I'm gonna go bare bulb on this one again, and I'm gonna go butterfly light, so it's directly overhead. It's gonna create kind of a shadow underneath his nose and chin. They sometimes call it Paramount lighting as well, and that's because Paramount Studios back in like old Hollywood days would use this style of lighting a lot. And I think I'm gonna go bare bulb for this as well, just because I think it'll create a little more drama. And this one I'm definitely gonna have you looking straight at me. Very serious look, right? All right. I'm gonna see where that power's at, and if I need to change it, I will, but little hot. It's a little hot. Bring that down. So I could do a couple things to change the power of the strobe. I can either increase my aperture, which closes the aperture ring or hold down, which so less light is coming through, or I can just turn it down on the strobe. So I did that because I didn't want to affect the background light either. But let's first, before I turn this on, let's go ahead and take a picture just with the rim light so we can see the color on that. All right, so I'm at full power on that light, and it's not bright enough. So now I actually am going to increase I can either increase my ISO, but I've got quite a bit of room left. So I'll go down to F4. Now we're getting a little bit more. I think I went to full power on this. Let me double check. Yeah, it's at 10. Yeah. All right. So I went to full power on that light. I'm at F4. When I zoom in, that's the lowest this lens goes. So I'm going to increase my ISO up a stop. All right, so now we're getting a little more rim light. So don't be afraid to increase your ISO. These new cameras are like, you can shoot up at like 3200 ISO and it's going to be a great image still. I used to always just like shoot low ISO all the time and I'd get camera blur and I'd be like, what the heck is going on? So I'm running into another issue here. So basically I needed more. I didn't think about which lights I put on what stands. I should have put one of these, the B1X or the B10 Plus on the background to get more power. So I'm at lowest power on this one. I'm at highest power on that one. I've increased my ISO. I've opened up my aperture as much. So if I had a little more, smarts, I would have thought about it ahead of time. So I'm just gonna have to move this further away because that's the other way you can turn the power down, is move it further away. So we'll just do this. We'll see where this ends up. Or I can shoot it with the umbrella there, which I might, or not the softbox. You shoot it through diffusion, it's going to end up softening it up anyway. I guess I can turn the light on too. Is it on? It's on, all right. All right, I don't mind that. I think that's okay. I would have loved to get it really close and get that really dramatic fall off, but we can live with that. And now I'm looking at it in the background. The rim light's a little bit too high, so I'll bring the aperture or the ISO back down. Then I bring this closer. You see, it's all a dance here, All right. All right, cool. Now I can get back to where I think I needed to be. All right, let's look straight at me. All right. I think that's good. Chin up just a little bit. Awesome. All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna do one more gel with this. Has anybody been keeping track of how many looks I've done? Because I'll be honest, I haven't. I've done this demo 3 days in a row and it's been different every day, so. I'm at 6. All right, we had 7. She's saying 7 or 8, so I'm gonna go with her. We'll go back through and look at them, and then we'll tell. So go ahead and step up for me 1 second. All right, so I'm gonna have this light here is gonna be my background light. So I've got a rim light that's red. I've got now a background light that's a little bit blue. And you can gel a black background. It just absorbs more light, so you gotta increase the power a bit more. So I'm gonna go ahead and increase that to about 1/4 power. Yes, 100%. Is that, no, let's put it over here. I'm gonna put it over here, all right. Well, I'm gonna need it in like 2 seconds anyway. I'm just gonna put it right here. All right, Dwayne, I need you. Thank you. All right, come forward for me. So I've still got this light off. I don't want to use that right now. All I want to have is just the rim light and the background light. So we've got a red and a blue. And I'm going to turn that power down. Like I said, you can gel a black background. It'll just be more saturated and just got to increase the power a bit. But that was a little bit too much because I really just want that to be very subtle. So now we've got just a subtle blue, a little bit of red. Now I can bring in this. I can bring in this light here. And again, I'm keeping this in relatively the same spot every time, so I shouldn't have to increase the power. Or adjust the power, rather. But I do, because I adjusted camera settings. Just a little bit too much. All right. That's good. I like that. So we've got a little bit of red rim. We got a blue background. Now we're going to kind of keep going with the theme of gel backgrounds. And I'm going to turn off this umbrella back here. We're done with that. Good riddance. I don't like using big umbrellas anyway, but they come in handy. So I'm gonna open this V-flat up a little bit. I'm gonna keep you in the same spot. I'm gonna move this light a little further over. I'm gonna use all the space I can over here. So same thing, I'm gonna turn that key light off because I really want to see and kind of show you what happens when you mix a background light color with a key light. So think about like when you're painting, you're gonna mix white and red, you get kind of a pink, right? Same thing's gonna happen when you're using gels and a neutral color light. So if I get any exposure on the background from my key light, that's kind of like adding white paint. So I'm just gonna turn the background light on for now. And I just want to get exposure where I like it there and get nice saturation. Come over just a little bit for me, right there. So because it's white, it's probably going to be a lot more powerful. So I want to turn that power down because I flipped the V-flat around to the white side, so it's going to reflect more light back. All right, let's give that a shot. So once we get the background dialed in, then we can start adding the key light. I like that. All right. So just for now, I'm going to turn this off because I want to show you getting this light if I'm exposing the background at all. So let's say I bring this really far back. Again, when it's further back, I got to increase the power in order to reach him, which is then going to throw the light beyond him onto the background. And this will probably expose the background, kind of making it a, a neutral gray. So we've got kind of a grayish background. If I take this and just turn it on, and I take a shot with all of the same settings, what's going to happen is the blue from the original shot is going to be a lot less saturated. Again, that's because I'm mixing a neutral color light with a color. Or it's not going to turn on at all because I didn't hold the button long enough. All right, now, all right, so what's going to happen is it's going to be a little less saturated, where shadow is, it's a little more saturated, so because that's basically a darker gray. I don't like that, and what I want is I want to be able to have this really close. I'm actually going to, so I have it over here for now. I'm going to move it over to this side because this is going to probably hit the white side of this V-flat and then bounce back into the background, exposing the background more. So I don't have another V-flat or flag to block that white light, or that white panel. So I'm going to bring this over here and block you guys out again. And now anything that's going to go, it's not going to bounce off anything, it's just going to keep going and eventually fall off to nothing. But again, I brought the light closer, so I got to bring the power down, right? Let's give that a shot. Go up a little bit. And then we just find where a good spot is for the exposure on the face and where it's not going to expose the background at all, and then we'll have a nice saturated blue background. And you can change the color to whatever you want. Like I could take the red off the other one and put it on here. Any color. I have like a whole binder that I usually use. It's got 30-something different colors, but just for kicks, I'm gonna turn the power up a little bit. So again, I turn the power up a little bit. The background got a little desaturated, so it's just kind of a little dance you have to play. But if I did use the black side of this V-flat, gray's another really good option if you have a gray background. Sorry. So if you have a gray background, that's another really good option for gelling because it's not going to reflect as much light. I'm going to turn this up a tiny bit. And so now we're getting that really saturated blue again, and I can just play with this. I can turn the power up even more until we find a spot that we like. And again, you'll notice there's a little bit of a hot spot in the corner. I just move the light around to where it's even. Also, the further away I have this light, the more even the spread is. So I'm going to have you come forward again. And I just kind of bring the light with him. As long as he's either directly under or in front, that's okay. Actually, go ahead and stand where you were just for a second. What's going to happen here, we can all guess, it's just going to show blue light all over his face. Which isn't going to look very good. So so that's why 95% of the time if I gel the background, the subject is going to stand right underneath the background light. So you just got to tell him, move forward. So go ahead and come forward for me. One step forward. He's a little bit too close still, so we're going to have you take one more step. And I'm running out of room here. I'm going to bring this over now. Because now that's not going to affect anything. And I got more space over here. It's going to work with the space you have. So now this background light shouldn't affect him in the slightest. And there we are. So again, I went off on a tangent. I feel like I kind of lost track of looks and everything. But the point is, you can do a lot of different looks in a relatively short amount of time with very minimal gear. At most, I used 3 lights. I didn't even need to. That was just to add a little bit of color with the red rim light. But if anybody has any questions, I'm going to be sticking around here for just a second. I also have any of these. These are just some lighting guides. I'm going to put them here if anybody wants to grab them.
Thank you.
And also, I'm going to put my information up on this screen. So if anybody wants to get a hold of me, Instagram, I'm usually relatively responsive with that. At Ready Light Media is my handle. I teach lighting workshops as well. So if you just take a picture or bring your camera up to that QR code, that'll take a link to all of my lighting workshops, YouTube, any of that stuff. So again, my name is Jeff Carpenter with Ready Light Media. Thanks for sticking around. What's going on, man? How are you? All right, and that's it. I'm done.